It's 5:30 p.m. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'll turn it over to Trustee Victor Gomez for the invocation.
Please stand. Father God, we give you thanks for all the provisions. We praise you for them, and we praise you that you have guided us this far. And we ask that you continue to watch over us and infuse upon us your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, that we may go forth as we contemplate the business of the college for our students, faculty, and staff. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Are there any members or visitors present, Dr. Suarez, that you know of?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay, great. Okay. Has anyone signed up for public comments? If you'd like to check words.
No, sir.
Thank you. Are there any comments by individual board members at this time?
Mr. President, I'd like to congratulate, not congratulate, but to admire Mr. our foundation director for the outstanding event we had Friday night. Everything was perfect.
Great.
I'll definitely share that sentiment with him. I agree. The event was well attended. We were able to connect really well with the community, and I think now it's just we got to up the bar for next year. Just from the feedback that we got, I think they're expecting something a little more stellar than that, but we did a really great job. So I agree. I congratulate Paul and that work and the foundation as well, foundation board.
Thank you. All right. Next item 5 on the agenda, update by the college president.
So we've had quite a few great things taking place this month. Very excited, obviously, as we gear into the winter break. I'm excited to give this update to the trustees, and I want to thank the team here, administrators, our executive cabinet, the trustees as well, for your support in engaging the community, throughout these past couple of months. And I think these events are just an indication of how well we are connecting with our community and the ability for the college to really create those connections that at some point impact our students in a positive way. So the first event, we had a meet and greet in Alice. We had approximately 40 individuals, local leadership that were in attendance. And we were able to share the vision that the college has set and some of the projects that we're currently working on. Things like open education resource framework and that transition, and that work that our instructional team is undertaking, the Promise program that we have been working on as well, and that the board has approved. So the community is very engaged, they're very excited to connect, and a lot of the feedback that I get from them when I visit with them is just, let us know how we can support you. We want to be there for you when you undertake these initiatives and moving forward. So I'm really, once again, appreciative of the team and the community and being willing to engage with us in that work. So we had the Alice meet and greet this past month in November. Coastal Bend College, in partnership with Beeville Main Street and the City of Beeville Police Department, coordinated and collaborated to host a community Thanksgiving drive. We were able to give away 130 turkeys for the community. It was an amazing event. You won't see any pictures of the community. We did want to be discreet in this work and how we're assisting our communities through this work. But I want to thank everyone here, the administrators and the team and the staff that really got out there and rolled up their sleeves and said, we're going to undertake this work. What can we do to collaborate and connect? Even Lance at Great Western Dining, who assisted us with the fridge to make sure we had somewhere to store the turkeys. Everyone just pretty much gathered and came together to make sure that we were able to facilitate that event. So it was very interesting to see actually the cars lining up all through where the sub is, pretty much wrapped around the entire campus and out to where the stoplight is during that event. So once again, we didn't want to take any pictures because we did want to be discreet, but just seeing that and the impact that the college is having on the community is just amazing in my opinion. So thank you, trustees, for supporting us in this work, staff, the administration, for collaborating and making sure that we're also engaging our community in this work as well. So on November 25th, I think Blaidri mentioned this earlier, we're not taking any days off. There's a vision and a mission, and there's work that needs to take place in order for us to execute that vision. So on November 25th, I actually presented to the South Texas College Board of Trustees, and we presented the Cougar to Jaguar Rural Scholars Initiative. We did get full board approval from the South Texas College Board of Trustees, so what that means for our students is effective fall of 2026, 15 of our associate degree graduate students at Coastal Bend College will have access to a tuition-free bachelor's degree from South Texas College fully online. That is a yearly cohort, so when you aggregate the two-year pilot that we're undertaking with South Texas College, that's 30 students that will benefit positively from this. And when you put a dollar amount specifically to that initiative, you're looking at 30 students, and you can multiply by approximately $10,000 per student of the cost that they would encounter as part of that programming. So we're saving our students approximately $300,000 through this partnership at no cost to the college. So it's a
Good job.
I will share this it's definitely the first. Actually, we the SEC team undertook some research. It wasn't the intent. Our goal was really to benefit the students positively. But South Texas College actually undertook some research, and this is actually the first Promise to Promise program between two colleges within the nation. So we're actually getting ready to put out some publications and put this work for some conference presentations. So it was just a luck of the draw. Our intent is to make sure we impact students positively. And the other benefit from this is when we attended the science conference, I was able to visit with the president from Laredo College, Dr. Ramirez, and we were having this discussion, and the coordination, the collaboration with South Texas Colleges says, send me the MOU. I want to sign a similar agreement. So we got that over to them. We'll probably get that back within the next couple of weeks. So we're really excited about this work and what it means for our students. But once again, I want to thank the administration, the board for supporting this work, and our cabinet team as well for expediting this process. One of the highlights, the feedback that we got from South Texas College is just how quickly and seamlessly we were able to get this project up and running and approved. So once again, that speaks to the board really taking that bold initiative and saying that we'll get behind our students and we'll support them from an operational standpoint moving forward. So thank you to the trustees in that work as well.
Thank you.
So we also hosted our Employee Appreciation Winter Luncheons throughout all of our CBC locations. We did change the framework this year from what we've typically had, where we host the event here at the Bevo campus. We made it a point to visit each of our sites. I want to thank the cabinet team actually for assisting with this process, and the administrators. Some of the pictures that are not included here is just our cabinet rolling up their sleeves, putting on gloves, and distributing food to our employees. It was really an event where we got to cater to them on that day. So our employees were really happy about that process, and we were also very happy in undertaking that work. So I want to say that we fed approximately 200 employees, full-time employees, across the entire college locations as part of this work. So it was a really great event. And I want to thank the trustees for being part of that work as well during these events. On December 11th, we were able to attend the Bevo ISD State of District. This is a great event. We were able to get some ideas on some of the great work that our ISD partners are undertaking during this upcoming year. Our cabinet team was in attendance, and we brought back some ideas and some initiatives that we want to help coordinate and collaborate with our superintendent and our administration at Bevo ISD. So it was a good event to have access to some of the work that they're undertaking and serving our students within the region as well. So on December 11th, we actually attended the Alice Echo Elite Awards. This was the first time that they have hosted these awards during the winter. And I'm proud to say that Coastal Bend College was recipient of the Chamber Ambassador of the Year Award and also the Educational Supporter of the Year Award as part of this award ceremony. So once again, administrators, cabinet, all of the staff in attendance as well, and we're very well represented during these events. So we're out, we're in the community. I think we're definitely changing the perspective of our community and how engaged we are with them, and it takes this work that typically takes place evenings, weekends, for us to facilitate that. But we're excited about what it means for our students moving forward through our partnerships. And our gala, I mean, I'm somewhat speechless regarding our gala, the attendance, the event, the venue, my suit, I should say, it was electrifying, the feedback I got. But in all seriousness, this was really the inaugural event that took place, and we publicly launched the Promise program at this event. And I'm happy to say that as part of that event and the pledges that we received as of today, we had a little bit over $5,000 that we had received in pledge funds to basically support the Promise program moving forward. So we expect that this type of event will continue to carry our mission forward in serving our students in a very positive way. So I agree in Paul's work and how well that event was executed. And we're looking at refining some of the logistics for the event to just make sure we increase the attendance next year and the quality of the event as well. So I do want to pause a moment here and deviate a little bit and skip on to the next item as well. So the parade float refresh, this work, we actually began undertaking it when I first arrived here in July. So when we had looked at the float, we were wanting to use the float to participate in a lot of the community events, but there was some deferred maintenance that the float hadn't been kept in quite some time. So we reached out to the vendor and we got some quotes, and without sharing too much information, it was pretty pricey. So we said, well, what can we do to make sure that we update the float and that our presence within the community is at the caliber that we want it to be, and what resources do we have in-house in order for us to facilitate this work. So as part of this month's mission moment, I do want to thank Memo for the work that you've been doing. I actually visited Memo in updating this float. The genius and the creative and all the work that went into this is his work and his team. Primarily Memo and undertaking. I was actually out there a couple of days and he was painting, and I know he had replaced some of the wood on the float that hadn't been upkept. The table that is actually here in this boardroom where our cabinet team is sitting on was handcrafted by Memo. It just speaks to the caliber and level of employees that we have here at the institution. So Memo, te quiero agradecer por todo el trabajo que haces por el colegio, de parte de mí y de la mesa directiva. Gracias por todo lo que haces. Estamos muy agradecidos. Y, so we have a small gift for Memo today as part of this mission moment, but definitely if the board would join me in giving him a round of applause for his work. So on behalf of the administration and the board of trustees, we have a small gift for you. And you can stick around for a little bit. We'll definitely get a picture with you as well. So let me get this over to you.
Thank you.
So Memo saved us like $10,000. So, and just as a quick update, our fall commencement is taking place this Friday. It will be live streamed. It'll take place at 10 a.m. here at Coastal College, the Bevo campus. So we're excited for that event to take place as part of our winter programming for our graduates. And those are the updates that I have for this one.
At this time, we have a very special guest here, Jeff Massengill, to my right, past trustee, past board chair. Recently, Jeff resigned from the board for personal and family reasons, which we respect. But tonight, we wanted to take a moment to recognize board chair Jeff Massengill. Jeff previously served a full 6-year term on this board. He returned 3.5 years ago, stepped up. He felt there needed to be a change on the board. He stepped up and ran and won. And for the last couple of years, Jeff served as board chair. Jeff also, as most of you know, was a longtime former instructor at CBC. And he has a very special fondness for CBC, has a special place in his heart. His term as board chair was marked by some challenging times that he had really nothing to do with, but he stepped up and guided the board and college through some challenging times, including the presidential transition. Through it all, not once did we ever hear Jeff complain about that adversity, the adversity that he faced, nor the incredible time commitment that was required of him, spending significant time away from his family and his business. Jeff just guided the board with a firm hand, a steady hand, and with quiet strength and determination. And for that, this board and college will forever be grateful to Jeff and his family. His wife is here. I know they made a sacrifice for Jeff's service on the board. And we are very, very grateful. We can't really relay, our feelings for you, Jeff, and everything you did during some challenging and difficult times. And for that, we thank you very much. And we thank you for your service to CBC. And we have a little token of our gratitude for you that Dr. Suarez will present to you at this time.
Thanks, Marcy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, yes.
And I'd like to share just a few words, Mr. Massengale. Being here back in 2018 and just reflecting on your leadership and the dedication and devotion to this college, the words that come to mind every time that I think of you is just definitely integrity, making sure that there's transparency, and you're the embodiment of shared governance at an institution, positive shared governance. So I thank you for that, for what it's worth. I look forward to working with you in some capacity moving forward, but thank you for everything that you've done for this institution.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you,
I don't
Jeff.
have words.
Thank you, thank you. We really appreciate it, and I mean, you stepped up a couple of times, to serve as chair, and I know that was even a bigger time commitment on your part, but you never complained. You just did the job, rolled up your sleeves, and worked very hard, and we are eternally grateful for your
Well,
service.
thank you for everything. Sorry to leave you guys hanging, I appreciate all the help that you guys have been to me and to the college, and I appreciate you all stepping up and carrying my share of the weight for the last several months. I do appreciate that tremendously. Obviously, I wouldn't leave if there weren't other priorities for which I had to step up, and I appreciate it. Yeah, CBC holds a very special place in my heart. I had hoped to retire from here, and just walking up, my wife and I, we have a lot of fond memories about this place and, about our time here, and this place is as meaningful to us as it is to everybody else in the community, and you guys are doing a bang-up job, and I'm gonna miss everything except for, I can't remember what dish it was, but it was a bad one.
We've had a few more than one.
All right, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome to stay a little bit longer if you want, but we understand if you need to go.
Well, I do need to go back to Live Oak. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine. I shaved and everything. I didn't know you guys were gonna give me choked up.
your hair
Yes. Where are we going?
I think here, we can take a photo here. Or? Yes, the whole.
All right.
You wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. He's a bad one.
Yeah, a little bit later.
Kingston? Are you the bad job?
Oh, yes.
Fingers away.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, just in case yours don't come out.
We're going back a little bit more.
Put it a little bit lower.
Smile. All right.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for letting me disrupt the meeting. Thank you, sir. I want a Lincoln. Thank you, guys. Show 'em all right. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a hard one.
Next items, item 7, the consent agenda. We've got 2 items in the consent agenda. A, consideration and possible action to approve the September 16, 2025 special board meeting minutes. And item B, consideration and possible action to approve the September 16, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. Would anyone like to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, is there a motion?
Second.
Seconded, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda items 7A and 7B. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item, agenda item 8, reports. Dr. Suarez?
So for this board meeting, Tara and I will be tag teaming most of it. So, but I'll defer to Tara on the fourth quarter investment report for September to November.
So, today we have Mr. Jim Eller here, who's going to be presenting the fourth quarter investment report for us, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Sure.
Thank you for having me again today, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone. I know it's quickly approaching, so with that in mind, I'll try to keep it short. The first page you have is just, of course, the agenda. The second page is something that you already received, showing your investment position as of November 30, the $27,733,791.79. That includes all of the bonds that the college owned, as well as the banking accounts of Prosperity Bank and the Texas Class. So that is a snapshot view as of the end of November, which is the end of the first quarter for your fiscal year 2025-2026. The next page gives you just a snapshot of that short 3-month period, and I'm pleased to say it's a positive number. As you've heard me say many times in the past, a 0 and a negative number won't compound. So anytime we have a positive number, that means it's compounding forward for you. So you can see for the short 3-month period, you had appreciation of around 1.5%. You know, hey, if we can do that for 3 more quarters, that'd be a nice year in the fixed income markets of about 6%. So again, a positive number is a good thing. We've had a little help from the Fed in that area. Since we last met, we've had 3 interest rate cuts, believe it or not. And I'll share with you some information there. The page that I just showed you, again, I don't manipulate the data. It is, I put it in that context to give you a little better view. This is where it comes from. So that is an audited report of your cumulative performance. And then the following page, again, just further breaks down those numbers for you. Again, just another checks and balances to show you that the work here in the investment report is actual numbers, and keeps the auditors happy as well. The following page is your maturity report as of November 30, and it shows you of all the bonds that the college owns, the various maturity dates, as you can see, with only 1 month left in 2025. There's about $120,000 that comes due before the end of the year, and then henceforward, over the next 5 years, again, in detail, in compliance with the Public Funds Investment Act that says you can't own any bonds longer than a 5-year maturity. So again, we continue to maintain the integrity and in full compliance with the Public Funds Investment Act. The next page is just something I put in there every quarter, and I compare it to the last time I was here. The ones in yellow, there are about 7 countries where interest rates went up, with the U.S. interest rates going down over the prior 3-month period, and now a little change that there's only 2 countries this year of the top economic powers out there, Brazil and the United Kingdom, where interest rates actually went down. And it's interesting, well, wait a minute, Jim, you just said interest rates have been lowered 3 times by the Fed. How could interest rates go up? I enclosed the Fed meeting notes at the end of October, and what's happened is the Fed stopped buying bonds. Pretty much since, the COVID period, the Fed had been in there buying bonds in the open market in an effort to, quell inflation and keep interest rates lower. Well, Chairman Powell said he had been alluding to it, that you'll see in the September meeting notes as well. And finally, in October, they voted to stop purchasing bonds. So, of course, when you stop purchasing bonds, there's more bonds in supply, the basic supply and demand, basic economics, interest rates, the yields have gone up just a little. You can see from 4.04 to 4.18 for the 10-year Treasury. And again, there's more supply on the market, and so with the demand, again, it's caused interest rates to go up slightly. And again, that's just on the following page, it kind of shows you what I just alluded to, and this is what the Fed has done since the last interest rate hike we had in July of 2023. You can tell the font keeps getting a little smaller because I put in, the dates of all the Fed meetings, and I found it very interesting when I put it together. Again, the 3 months, there was no Fed meeting in November, so September, October, and December of 2025, the Fed reduced interest rates each meeting, the last 3-month meetings of the year. It's interesting, you look back in 2024, they did the same thing. So what do we get next year? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Next year will be interesting as well, because our Fed Chairman Powell, his last day is coming up in May, so there'll be a new Fed chairman, and so it will be interesting to see what the future holds as far as the direction of interest rates, because interest rates affects the interest earnings on the college's investments and the interest earnings the college gets to use, of course. So the next page is something you've seen before. This is the Fed Funds futures that the Chicago Mercantile puts out, and as you can see, in January and March, they're saying probably no interest rate cut. In fact, a 78% probability there'll be no interest rate cut in January. They're 50%, 48.9% probability no interest rate cut in March. There's no February meeting. And then the remainder of the year. So you can see we do have a chance for rates to go lower, and of course, being the orange man in the White House, I think there's a lot of pressure for interest rates to go lower. Let's not kid ourselves. He made all of his money in real estate. Real estate developers love lower interest rates. It makes borrowing costs cheaper and profits on the real estate development project higher. So I do think we will continue to see interest rates move down, but again, that's just my personal opinion, but we will find out in the new year. The next 3 pages are the Fed Reserve Board meetings, September, October, and December. I enclosed the minutes. Again, if you're an insomniac, it'll help you put you to sleep. But I highlight what's highlighted there. You'll see is the change of language, and there's not a great deal of change. I don't want to say the Fed's lazy, but I look at the meeting notes every month that the Fed meets to try to get some indication where interest rates are going. And as I alluded to earlier, in September it said the committee will continue to reduce its holdings of Treasury securities. And a month later, in October, the committee decided to conclude the reduction. And again, that's, I think, what is causing the 10-year Treasury yield to go up slightly since the last time I was here. And then I gave you the December meeting notes, which were just last week. So that kind of, concludes my report. With the Christmas celebration, I wanted to close a little color. This is what they call an Ibbotson chart, and it shows you with the various asset classes what the returns have been for a little more than a decade. And fixed income is in there. You can see on the far right, tends to be toward the bottom. Bonds, because bonds are very, typically calm and sedate securities and low risk, and that's why the college owns them. But it's always interesting to see how bonds relate to other investment assets, because there are times when bonds actually do better than stocks, when we face difficulties in the economy as well as, in the country. So with that, it's been a good year for the college. Even though we're into our first quarter already, I'm optimistic we'll have another good year. Unemployment has ticked up a little bit, but that puts pressure on the Fed to move interest rates down. And of course, as interest rates come down, your bond values go up. So that's a good thing, although our redeployment risk of reinvesting funds as they come due will make the yields a little less attractive than they were this year. But again, the Board of Trustees has done well, the administration has done well. In the fixed income markets, it's a very high quality portfolio. Everything is pretty much AA rated or better. And again, positive numbers are good, and you continue to be good stewards of the college's money. With that, I'll entertain any questions or any comments.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. Okay, next item, Dr. Suarez, 8B.
So the next item is just to certify the board training compliance for this year. We have confirmed that the board trustees have completed all of the trainings that are required, so this is just a recommendation to actually certify the compliance of those trainings.
So it's an action item?
Yes, it is recommended that the board of trustees certify the board compliance trainings.
It's typically 8A. The board book indicates informational only.
Oh, just information?
Yeah.
We just
Okay.
have to state it on record
Oh, okay.
that.
Okay. Noted. However, 8B, which is what Dr. Suarez is referring to, the certification of board training compliance, the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees of CBC certify that they have complied with the board training requirements. So Dr. Suarez was correct. 8B is an action item, not just for informational purposes. 8A was for informational purposes. Any discussion before we consider a motion? Okay, is there a motion?
I so move.
Okay.
We improve the training compliance.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to certify that the CBC Board of Trustees has complied with the training requirements. Any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? Okay. Motion passes. All right. Agenda item 9 under new business. 9A, consideration and possible action to approve the fiscal year 2025 annual financial statement audit. Dr. Suarez.
So I want to thank Tara and her team in conjunction with Whitley Penn, who has been the firm that's been assisting us with this year's audit. The fact that it's timely and as far as a lot of the recommendations this management has put forward over the past couple of months to just make sure that we are in compliance with some of the issues that we needed to address is just wonderful. So I'm very excited about this. I know Tara's very excited about this meeting as well, and her team. So Tara, if you can.
Yes, so we have Aileen Kumple here, who is going to be presenting the 2025 financial statement audit on behalf of Whitley Penn. First of all, I just want to thank my team for all the hard work, especially Bob, who's here tonight at the meeting. A lot of the recommendations that were brought forward in last year's audit have been resolved, and so Eileen's going to bring that up in the meeting tonight, so I'm going to defer to her for the presentation. And the PowerPoint that she'll be using is in this folder that you all have.
Good evening, members of the board, and to everyone here. My name is Eileen Kaufman-McAlintal, Senior Audit Manager for this audit. And Selena Ceres is the partner for this engagement. She's actually the partner in charge of our public sector department within our firm. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here because of an urgent matter. That's why I'm presenting the results of the audit of financial statements of Coastal Bend College, including single audit or the federal and state awards for fiscal year August 31st, 2025. The financial the audited report was also provided, this book right here, provided to the board members. And then we also provided copies of the management comment letters, which include all the recommendations, observations that we have. I just wanted to emphasize that whatever we have put on the management comment letter, this should not impact the opinion of the financial statements that we have here. And also the copy of the PowerPoint. I would like to confirm that I really, I'm thankful for your finance team. This is our first year audit, and I think that it went really well. The thing that is first year audit, and I think it's very smooth. Since July, when we started our intern field work, they have been very cooperative with our requests. Each department, including IT department, they were involved with that. And of course, the Big Four. I mean, we don't have all the time to, to mention all those people that I interviewed. I had to do a deep dive review of the internal controls just because of the findings from last year. I want to make sure that all those corrective actions were taken care of this year. So I would like to emphasize that, again, you had a great team. I'm very excited for Coastal Bend College for all the improvements that have been made since last year. And again, I just want to recognize first before I move on with the presentation. So the first slide, it includes the audit process, the visual review of different steps that we have to do since the engagement letter was signed in March 2025. We start with planning, wherein we did risk assessment, so we're doing materiality and risk-based approach because it's impossible for us to audit 100% of your accounts within the financial statements. So we had meetings with your management, and we started field work. First part of field work happened around July, where we call it interim field work. That's when we perform reviews of internal controls. We documented your policies and procedures, and then we also perform observations, talk one-on-one with each department, including HR, payroll, procurement, student financial aid, which is a big part of your grants, and also tuition and fees, and disbursements, AP and procurement. Then through identifying internal controls, making sure that they are operating as intended, we determine if we can rely on controls and the risk of material misstatement. Now, I would like to remind everyone that our job, our objective, is to provide reasonable assurance that financial statements are not materially misstated, not absolute assurance. So after our interim field work in July, we resumed our year-end procedures around October because we had to give college opportunity to close the books. And then that's when we focus our attention on key areas, the material balances on the financial statements. So we obtained substantive testing procedures and testing to make sure that we obtain audit evidence in order for us to provide an opinion. Sorry, next slide. So this, like what I mentioned, these are the areas of focus where we perform meetings and walkthroughs and even observation of their access to different systems. Next slide, please. So for everyone here, in a simple term, an external auditor can provide different types of opinion related to financial statement and single audit. So I'm comparing it with a traffic light because that's where everyone is familiar with. Unmodified opinion, it's a clean opinion, so that means go. So it means that the college is following all the rules and we can proceed and you can rely on the financial statements. The second opinion is modified opinion, means caution. We can provide clean opinion on certain accounts, but however, there are certain accounts that we could not even give clean opinion because of different reasons, like scope limitation, or we could not obtain sufficient evidence. Last opinion is the disclaimer or stop. That means we cannot at all obtain sufficient audit evidence to provide an opinion. That's why we have to stop and not give or disclaim our opinion. Next slide. So these are the substantive procedures that we performed during October. That's when we had like back and forth communication with your finance team because we were focusing on financial statement audit. These are different procedures, analytical procedures, flux and ratio analysis, predictive test on which we are comparing it to expectations, the actual amounts, the expectations, vouching. This is the part wherein we're actually looking for actual support for those material accounts in your financial statements, especially the revenues or cash receipts or expenses, because we perform also reviews of your expenditures because that's a big part of your financials. And cash investment, that was mentioned a while ago, that's also one of big areas that we tested, including your capital assets. Confirmations, this is the strongest audit evidence on which we obtain information from financial institutions and to make sure that all of those bank statements that we receive from your finance team are actually accurate. Third-party reports, we also use different websites such as Controller's Payment Report, which is available public, and in that way we can gain additional assurance. Next slide, please. So again, our audit is conducted in accordance with General Accepted Auditing Standards and the Government Auditing Standards or Yellow Book because single audit is applicable since the college received funding in excess of $750,000 for the federal and also on the state side. So I'm pleased to let you all know that we are giving Castleman College providing an unmodified or clean opinion over financial statements, and there's no internal control finding related to financial reporting. On the other side, so congratulations. On the other side, we also perform audit of your federal and state awards. Okay, so we have to perform procedures related to compliance. So for findings, we noted a couple of findings, which I will be discussing later. Also, the details are on the report. We noted 2 items, observations related to TRIO cluster. I just want to emphasize that those findings are not material weaknesses, and management provided the corrective actions right away. So management letter recommendations, those are again items that are included in this other letter. Areas of improvement, those observations did not warrant for any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that will affect our opinion in financial statements. Next slide, please. Like I mentioned a while ago, we have to perform compliance audit in accordance with OMB, which is under the executive branch of the government, and for the state side, the Texas Grant Management Standards. The major federal programs are the Student Financial Aid Cluster, that's the biggest part of your SIPA, and then also the TRIO cluster. That's another program that we had to add because both programs, you got above 1 million. Findings, we considered a significant deficiency. On the state side, we had to audit Texas Educational Opportunity. Just want to emphasize that for major programs, we audited about 94% of your SIPA, and that's a requirement because we also use risk-based approach. Major state program, PEOG, which is about 74% of your CISA. So unmodified opinion over each federal and state program. Next slide, please. Federal awards findings to your cluster now. Our job is not to provide opinion on the effectiveness of your internal control. However, as part of the regulations and law, we have to let you all know that these are due to significant deficiency for required services to eligible participants. We tested 40 participants and we noted only 1 observation. So there's no question cost. And again, we concluded that it's not an error that is being done consistently. It's just probably one isolated instance. Then that's something that management right away provided us a detailed corrective action. Time and effort documentation, that simply means timesheet, making sure that those employees are allowed and approved to work and get charged to the fund. We received the approval and confirmation from the director of programs after the fact. So I think our recommendation is more to do it on a timely basis. Next slide, please. So this is the financial highlights, which is part of the financial statements. So that is in comparison with current and prior year financial statements. So I want to do a higher level review of this one. So this is basically on this, call it the balance sheet. This includes the assets and deferred outflows. Assets that consist of your cash, investments, your CIP, land, all of those are related to capital assets. So those are what the college owns. In comparison, there is the total assets and deferred outflows for 2025 is about 58.3 million, which increased compared to prior year. Prior was 56.8. Most of that is related to cash flows from state appropriations. That means you are in good conditions. Like you have your liquidity is really great. So liabilities and deferred inflows are a slight increase compared to prior year for both. This is what actually the college owes. The net position that is comparable compared to prior year. That is, again, those are the three major categories related to your balance sheet. So the other part are your revenues, expenses, and change in net position. Those are your income statement, call it income statement. So that is all the activities that are recorded during the current year. So revenues, it is down by a little bit compared to prior year. Most of that is related to the HER funding or the COVID money that is no longer applicable, or it's already completed last year. Expenses, it's a slight increase compared to prior year, which is in line with the operations with the code that you have. And also there is a presentation of scholarships and that are the waiver that you have to, dual credit waivers that you have to recognize on the financial statement. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the main categories of your revenues, federal and state grants, like what I mentioned. The reason for the significant increase is the HER funding, and then state appropriations, because of the change in the way state appropriations are given to college, it's now based on performance instead of the old way of calculating it. This is based on that results, that is something beyond your control. That is increased by about 2 million. Property taxes is comparable compared to last year. Tuition and fees is slightly comparable compared to last year, and that includes your enrollment and also the tuition rates that you charge. Interest income is down by a little bit, which depends on the market and the investment that you have, and also the other income. Next slide, please. So these are the different categories of expenses that typical for a higher education. It is expected that your instruction is higher compared to the rest, because that is actually what you're using for your students in your operations. So this is slightly up by over almost 1 million. And then your academic support, student services, institutional. So again, these are the different comparison of the different categories of expenses. Depreciation and amortization, that is something that is actually part of your capital assets that you need to recognize, but there's no cash flow related to that. Next slide, please. Like what I mentioned, everything started when the engagement letter was signed and approved. For our audit procedures, and this is applicable to audit entities, we made sure that our audit procedures, we address revenue recognition. Big part of that are your tuition fees and tuition fees, as well as the federal awards and state awards that you receive. We're confirming that the college accounting policies and methods are appropriate and in accordance with industry standards. No disagreements or difficulties from management. So again, I'm very thankful for that. And I'm confirming that we are independent of the college. Next slide, please. Management rec letter, before we issued the final report, management sent us the MRL, we call it MRL. So this includes, that letter is just mainly telling us that management is transparent and provide all the information that's needed for this audit. Consultations with our accountants. We are not aware of any situations in which management consulted with other accountants on accounting of financial matters. Major issues discussed with management prior to retention, we discussed the application of accounting principles and auditing standards. However, our responses were not a condition to our retention. Next slide, please. Any questions?
I think I just wanted to highlight, because for the trustees, we met earlier, and one of the discussions was just as far as the expenses, right, and how that looks with respect to us as an institution, and the fact that we don't have HER funds, right, and those are some of the things that other institutions are also dealing with, so, which tasked us as administrative and as a cabinet to really just make sure that we're scrutinizing the budget a little bit more and making sure that we're being good stewards of the resources that we have available at the college. So it's an interesting perspective when you start seeing it across each division, whether it's academics, IT, institutional support, right? It touches every single focus area because the HER funding was something that we were able to use to provide some type of service or resource to our students in that work. So I think this is something that each institution is going to be looking at moving forward very closely.
So after this report is approved, we'll have to assist you with data collection form. This report will be submitted to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse, and that will be available for public.
Give the board a minute or two to look at the management letter a little bit more close.
There were several things that were listed as corrective action. Do you verify that that was corrected in the next auditing
Yes.
cycle?
Similar to last year, whether it's on the management comment letter or on the report, you can also find on this report the findings from last year that we verified that those corrective actions were taken. We even assisted management to provide the responses to the coordinating board as far as the corrective actions related to last year. Now, for this year, then when we come back for next audit, then we will also review to make sure that those corrective actions are taken.
Thank you.
And I'll also add that whenever we went through the corrective action, that cabinet reviewed, and we also made sure that they were things that we could implement now and follow up with throughout the year to make sure that when the audit comes back around the next year, that we're following the corrective action that we put into these reports.
I will say that, while we've got some really good opportunities to improve upon these things, this is the first time in a quantifiable amount of time that we've had this report available and ready on time. So congratulations and thank you. A lot of work coming into that.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly clean report, I think, compared to some previous ones that we looked
Absolutely.
at. I mean, no internal control findings related to financial reporting, or just a couple of findings related to compliance. You know, that it's a good report, all things considered.
I agree, and we're still looking at possibilities outside of this compliance report to strengthen our internal controls. It's very important for us to mitigate risk as a college, and so we, you know, as issues come up, we begin focusing on how do we not only resolve them, but have measures in place so they don't continue moving forward.
Yeah, thank you again. Got that opportunity later.
If there's not any further discussion, is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit report?
I'd be happy to, this motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Let's see how many more connectivity points we can get on that.
Okay, the next action item is 9B, consideration and possible action to approve the award of contract for emergency potable water response and infrastructure support. Dr. Suarez?
So, been working very closely with JC to make sure that we have plan A, B, C, D, E, probably every single letter of the alphabet. We have to implement our emergency management plan as far as the city's local disaster declaration with respect to the water shortage. So I want to thank JC for the work that he's been doing. I know it's involved a lot of weekend work, evening work, getting us to where we're at this point. I feel very confident that as a college, you know, if we are having to implement this type of emergency management plan, that we are prepared, and we're also making sure that we're investing in the infrastructure necessary if issues arise with specifically water issues for the college moving forward. So, JC, if you want to go ahead and just present some of the information regarding this report, please. It is available to the trustees. It's this one here with the photos. We wanted to give the trustees an actual visual of the work that's taking place. So you do have the schematic of the central plant here and this report.
Is that the same one from 3 years ago?
No, the other way. Turn it. There
What's
we go.
changing?
There's some work taking place now.
So I expected that to be up here, so I even brought my extension. So,
Okay.
oh, well, it's okay.
Hold it up.
And Mr. Benio, you can play the music again. So what I've got, what I provided you all is the first page is gonna be the central plant. And what we're doing there is installing an access point. Basically, that's gonna give us a connection to bring in potable water. We can tie in we're gonna eventually put a permanent tank. In the meantime, we can bring in a temporary tank. So you'll see that one's an X, that's gonna be temporary, and then the other is the actual tank that will eventually bring it set up. If you go to page 2, that is actually the schematic that we're gonna be placing there next to that. Well, that's gonna be the access point. So you'll have 2 pumps, motors, piping, and then that's gonna be able to take us, we'll be able to connect whatever water source we bring in and push that to whatever selected buildings that we decide to use. And then on the next page, you'll be able to see some of the work that we've already done. We've already identified the pipe that we're gonna plug into. And we'll go through these pretty quick. And then the next page, you'll see from the sidewalk, that's essentially gonna be the exact location. So it's secure, hidden, and it won't be in an area that it's gonna be a lot of traffic going through.
The tower you have out here by the baseball field, that was a replacement, right?
What was that?
Are we replacing the one that's out by the baseball field?
Yes,
So
so
that
I'll
wasn't
get to that
active
one here.
Okay.
Like a couple
Sorry, I'm
of
ahead of
days.
myself.
I'll get it. So, next page is over at the dormitory, and you'll see it's gonna be the exact same setup that we've got at the central plant. It's gonna be the exact same thing, and that's part of what's being presented on the agenda item tonight. So, this essentially could change, but as of right now, that's the location that we're exploring. We just did the central plant out there, so we've got to verify that we don't have any other piping or electrical running through that section, so just gotta be careful where we place that. And then, next page is over at the Joe Hunter Field. And so we do have the existing tank, we've had that for a while, but the well is inoperable, so what we are gonna do is, you'll see down here that we're kind of exploring another source, another space that will hit into the same source of water. And we'll have more info on that, but as of right now, we're just trying to get the access points at the central plant and at the dorms set up. So, next page is just the water well at the central plant. We've restored that. And you'll see the piping, old pumps, and that's just to give you an idea of the condition that those are in. And then when you get to the last page, that's all the new pumps, new piping, and then we've got the installation being done. Actually, I think it's completed as of today. If not, it's pretty close. So, pretty quick, but you know, it's a lot of work just in a quick 2-minute little presentation. So everything on here is essentially on the agenda items that we're presenting right now for to install that potable water piping and pump access station at the central plant, and then the same thing at the dormitory. And that would be to obtain work from the grant companies, approve them as the vendor, and for the total combined of $243,516,000.
And Dr. Suarez, I think you mentioned that those funds would come from the tax maintenance.
Yes, correct, the tax maintenance note, so that's another thing that we're bringing to the board for the approval of that. So we wanted to make sure, I know that the board, from my understanding, had previously requested some of these modifications to take place, but they're in progress, and I do have the authority at this time, if we were under a true emergency as defined by the state regulations and law, for me to be able to purchase and acquire under emergency at least $100,000 of work and materials. But in this case, we're not actually in an emergency because we haven't reached that point yet. So this is, once again, us moving forward with this project to make sure that we're in a good position in case we have to activate our emergency management plan on this issue.
JC, do we have a projected date of completion for all of this?
So this right here, they've approved, we will have it actually get started. We've already started on the digging, but on this coming Saturday, they will do the central plant, and that'll be ready by Monday. And then on Monday, we're actually gonna do a test run and make sure that everything we planned is actually working. And I'm sure it will. It's just, we gotta do a test run to make sure we've covered all the points that. So, for the central plant, that'll hopefully be done by Monday. We'll do the test run, and then when we get back in January, we'll start the dormitory.
So safe to say by end of February, we should be online.
Yes, for sure for the central plant and dormitory, we'll see where we are on the plan, but I think we will have that pretty quick.
So it won't be a long-term project?
Not for this is only to set up the access point, set up the connections, so we can, if anything happened, we can bring in potable water, plug it in, and turn it on. And then we've got water to whichever building we choose to bring water to. And that's one of the good things about our tunnel, is we've got valves that we can shut buildings off to. And so, a lot of the piping that we've done, we've been replacing and upgraded, gives us that ability to do that. So, all that other work is starting to come in and tying
So
together.
this is not including digging the well, redigging the wells, jetting the wells? right?
No, this right here
It's
is.
just the preparation for.
Phase one.
Phase one is.
Jesus, okay.
And the price on this is also because we're pushing it to get completed faster.
I think JC's just worried that I know I've been in the tunnels and I know where all the valves are, so I can redirect water to my office if
Yeah,
needed.
no doubt.
And he's calling
Take
every
it from
day.
his, just shut off his.
And he calls every day, he's like, got no day.
Chase, Dr. Suarez, is there any word from the city of Eville? I think I had heard that they were claiming that there would be an alternate water source in place sometime in February of next year. Do you have anything new to add to that?
I joined their emergency management meeting, I believe it was last Tuesday, and the feedback that we got is that they're currently working on it and that they would provide the community a timeline of when that work would take place. So at this point, I don't have a definitive, I'm leaving that meeting, so we're waiting on city management to provide us with that. But we wanted to have a plan in place to have continuity in our operations at the college in the event that.
Yeah, I mean, we've had that, obviously this was pre-planned several decades ago in preparation for this day, and here we are, and all of a sudden it's not there, so we've got to make sure it's back online. And I wouldn't rely on the city too much, we can dig our own wells and
Right,
get
yeah,
our own stuff.
we have to
Let's
be ready for the
prepared,
worst
guys.
case scenario. And,
If you
We've got to be
recall,
prepared.
this whole water situation goes back to May, June time. And so we actually started planning around that time to do some of this work. And then once it really, the water, level 4 stage kicked in, we already kind of.
Well, we looked at this just 10 years ago, maybe, and we talked about making sure they were all online, so I was really taken aback and surprised that they weren't online, because I was assured back then they were, and that our tower was fine, and now I'm hearing that we're not. so it's kind of disturbing to me at the same time. But going forward, moving forward, we've got to make sure we're online, on our own sustainable. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, and a lot of that is my team, so just
Well, thank your team for
props
the
to
work.
them as well.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate it, sir.
Any further discussion? All right, is there a motion to approve the expenditure?
So moved, sir.
All right, so moved, seconded. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item is 9C, consideration possible action to approve amendment to the College District's 2025-2026 academic calendar.
So this is being brought to the trustees. I want to thank Dean Secord for the work that he's done with the academic calendar committee. Thank you, Dean Secord. I know a lot of work has gone into putting this template together. We met a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, and the discussion was, can we shorten the academic calendar and make it more user-friendly to students, where it outlines, key dates that are important on the instructional side. And they took that task and put together a phenomenal document, so thank you for that work. The item 9C specifically on the 25-26 academic calendar is one minor revision. We are adding basically a spring college-wide professional development. And the reasoning behind that is we want to make sure that as we move forward with planning and professional development across the college, that employees have the opportunity and have a designated date, not only in the fall, which is typically our fall convocation, but also in the spring. That'll give the opportunity to department heads to facilitate any type of training or compliance trainings that they have that they want their employees to undertake. It is also something that assists us with their accreditation compliance. That gives us an opportunity to undertake certain types of training with respect to instruction and assessment during that time period. And typically, if it's not designated in the spring term, it becomes problematic because it kind of becomes a running target that may or may not take place. And this is just to solidify that date formally through board approval of the modification to the academic calendar. So I believe the date for the spring term is going to be February 13th on a Friday. We will keep it, the trainings before noon. I want to make that very clear to the board and anyone logged in online or in our employees with the piloting of the 4.5-day work week. But that'll give us enough time to actually meet with our departments and facilitate those trainings for professional development day. So, Dean Secord, I don't know if you have anything to add specifically on the 25-26 academic calendar.
No, sir, not on the agreement.
So at this point, we're requesting that the board approves and authorizes the 25-26 academic calendar as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 9D, consideration and possible action to approve the College District's 2026 to 2027 academic calendar.
This academic calendar, the 2026-2027 version is, I would say, a substantial modification from what typically has been brought to the board. That's a good modification. I believe the draft that we have here spans, is it 7 pages, Dean Secord?
6.
6, okay, from, what was the number? 19 pages, so they leaned out that academic calendar in a very good way. If you don't mind just highlighting some of the key changes, but once again, we did integrate the fall convocation within the document and also included the spring college-wide professional development days as part of some of the changes, so.
Yes, sir, the primary change was we took the short terms, the flex terms, so the 8-week terms, the 4-week terms, the 11-week, the 10-week terms, and we put them in a matrix. We basically compressed them so that we just looked at the key dates and included those. So as Dr. Suarez mentioned, a lot of the extraneous dates we removed. It was moving away from the very structure of an academic calendar. So, yeah, by compressing all of those mini terms or short terms into that matrix, it brought it down from 19 to 6. So it's much more user-friendly, and it's just a better document.
I think another key change was the exclusion of the final exam schedule, right? That is an institutional, outline that we have, but ultimately faculty and coordination with their deans and the VP of instruction can make modifications as necessary based off that scheduling. So we felt that it was just including it in there, once again, creates that deviation from the true intent of the academic calendar information. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that as well.
Yes, so we had defined final schedules just for the 16-week terms, which was kind of odd. We didn't have it defined for the 8-week terms, the 4-week terms, the 11-week term, anything like that. So it was kind of out of place in that fashion, but primarily it was so defined, it really didn't give the instructors much leeway to modify as they needed to. And then, as the instructor goes through the term, sometimes they encounter situations where they do need to make modifications. So it was very problematic for the students, for the professors. So this way they can use their own judgment to schedule the finals within, we still left the time frame, because that's in policy. We have to have a final schedule, but we just defined the start and end date and left it up to the instructors and professors to have the freedom to schedule as best works for them and their students.
Would that cause any trouble in the sense that students would have 8 finals or 7 finals or 6 finals in one day, or is there?
No, actually, by removing that defined schedule, see what happened with the final schedule, and this is what really started stacking the finals, is we used to have 3 days off for Thanksgiving, and then we extended it to the entire week. Well, you had to make up those days somewhere, so where'd you make them up? You compressed the final schedule. And then you had to try to define certain windows for each different timeline and for each day on the Monday, Wednesday, or the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. So when you did that, they started stacking. So that was where the problem was encountered. So then the only way to get around that is you had to move finals late into the evening, early in the morning and late into the evening. So then that was a problem. So what professors were doing is they were just taking upon themselves to modify the schedule so that it worked better for them and their students. And also, they were extending the final deadline in some cases to accommodate the students. But that was problematic because the students would refer back to the hard copy schedule and say, but the final schedule is right here. So that caused problems. So by eliminating that rigid structure and just defining the start and end, it really allows the professors to work with the students. And they're really good at accommodating the students. So we have not encountered that problem because what the professors typically do is they stay within the structure of the class they're already teaching and embed their finals at that time. So it should work. If we encounter problems, then we'll address it and modify it. But by actually removing the rigidity out of the schedule, it helps. Any other questions?
Need a motion?
Yes?
I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
I'd like to say something, Dr. Seaford, I know we just spent, 5 minutes on this thing, but I know you and the people who work on this thing take days and days and days to put it together, so we really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir. I'll pass that on to the committee as well.
Thank you. Next item, agenda 9E, consideration possible action to approve RFP for the Howdy and Action Building HVAC upgrades.
So I'll defer to Tara on this item, the next couple of ones, actually.
So, actually, our teams, obviously in accordance with JC and his team, have been working on RFPs you're gonna see over the next 4 agenda items. Some of the work that's been done in our offices, and so the first 2 are JC's, and these were things that were included from the tax maintenance note funds that were set aside, and he's been working with Bill Wilson on these first 2, and so we're excited to finally see these projects getting bid out, and so I'll defer to him on the results of those RFPs.
Well, we're doing a relay right now, so I'm gonna bring Bill up so he can get this. I'm back in.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be before this board again. For those of you who don't know, I'm Bill Wilson, your project architect.
Oh, you're not faculty? I
And
mean, you've been here so
Jason-
long, I would.
JC's executive assistant. To paint some historical background on this project, as you know, we've been replacing worn out infrastructure in your HVAC systems and piping for several years on a continuing basis. We've just about completed all the piping replacement in the utility tunnel, which goes really from this building all the way to the central plant. We've also taken the dormitory project off the central plant and built its own central plant project, or plant coolers and boilers. And we're in the process of taking the library and the student union building off the central plant and replacing and having them operational off new chillers on top of the library building. Those two buildings will continue to be served by the boilers that are in the central plant. But the Howdy Latcham project is an extension of our utility replacements, and essentially, and what we have is, you've got, you know, from a campus-wide perspective, you've got buildings with good bones, good structure, but a lot of the systems are wearing out, and that's true with your air conditioning systems, it's true with your power systems, it's true with your roofing systems, and so we've really got to maintain those elements to keep these buildings operational. And so this project has some real challenges. We've actually been working with the college for a little over a year, you know, stop and start on how to move this project forward, how to deal with it. But these two buildings are on the central plant. They're served through the utility tunnel under chill water and boiler water. But each of these buildings has a single air handler unit. And to replace them is not terribly simple. Essentially, what we've got to do is take these buildings out of service for a period of time. And so the only real window we have to take the science building in particular out of service is from mid-May to mid-August. Otherwise, you would be in your spring or fall semesters without science laboratories. So we've designed this project to be completed within that window. Now, that said, the issue of supply chain on the major equipment becomes a serious concern, and has been a serious concern since COVID times, and continues to be spotty. But it's a risk that we simply can't afford. We cannot afford to have a contract executed with a general contractor on this project, and then have them come to you in April or so and say, oops, we're not going to get our equipment until August, and you're going to have to take this building out of commission for the fall semester. So what we've done is we have worked ahead and gotten cooperative purchasing agreements and proposals prior to putting this project out to bid, so that we can expedite and confirm delivery for this equipment. And then the contractor, then we bid this project with the contractor's understanding that the college is essentially going to purchase this equipment right now, and it's going to be on site here by mid-May, and then they're going to be responsible for the full execution like they would any other thing. We've done this on other major air conditioning projects. We've got a project with Pelosi Midway. It's a $7.5 million HVAC upgrade, which we did that by pre-purchasing the chillers because they were long lead items, and we needed to coordinate the installation of the upgrade of their central plant with other construction projects and obviously the operation of the school. So this project has that component to it. We've already got proposals, and upon authorization of the college for this contract, the college needs to go ahead and execute those pre-purchase agreements with two entities. One's the electrical supplier and one's the HVAC supplier. But essentially, the time critical part of this is it's gotta, like, we can't let the contractor in and start taking the system out of operation until mid-May, and we've given them an absolute deadline of mid-August. So the project will, I mean, the buildings will not be able to be occupied, or simply won't have air conditioning during the summertime, because that's what it's gonna take. And so, we do have several bid alternates on the project. If you go to the bid tabulation sheet, which is in your packet, you can see we received 2 bids, and we basically, the most, based on qualifications and price, Protec Mechanic is the recommended general contractor, and they're basically, this is an HVAC company. In fact, we just completed about $2.5 million worth of work with them for Colosso Midway by replacing all of the 64 air conditioning units on a 100,000 square foot primary school. So we've worked with them before. They're a large company. They're strong financially. And you can see we've got 3 bids on this. One of them is, bid alternate number 1 is an $80,000 addition. The way the connections of the piping for these 2 buildings is currently, is that the main boiler pipes and chill water pipes run above the plaster soffit and the covered walkways. And there's not any way to access them without tearing out a bunch of expensive plaster soffits. And so, you know, we've replaced all the other piping. We know how bad most of that piping is. And so what we've done in this case is we've bid an alternate that will replace that piping but abandon it in place. And we'll run the piping between the 2 buildings across that covered walkway, over the covered walkway. Additionally, this project includes significant interior piping in the mechanical rooms, all to be replaced, as well as asbestos abatement on all, you know, every inch of your piping in the mechanical systems in these buildings is insulated with asbestos covered material. So we've got it, every project we've had to deal with that, and this is no exception. So we do have specified, we've done testing, we'll have air monitoring during that process. They've got registered subcontractors that will do that. Asbestos abatement will be done, you know, after the building is not occupied, and it will be done in accordance with the state regulations. We've also got 2 bid alternates that are deductions in price. One of them is allowing, you know, digital control systems on HVAC systems can be wildly, you know, unpredictable in cost. And so we bid a particular kind of digital control system, but we did a bid alternate that allowed them to, the contractors to come in with alternate control systems. And one of the contractors came in with a, you know, an additional cost of $73,000, and Protec Mechanical came in with a deduction in price of $101,000, which is similar to what they did on our project for Colosso Midway. They came in and offered a significant reduction on the controls by, they're doing it basically, they're a company that does the controls themselves. So we're accepting that $101,000 reduction in price. And then the other part of this, because there is some minor, what I call minor roofing work associated with replacing this HVAC equipment, we did not know whether or not the college would execute both these projects simultaneously. And so we had to bid a certain amount of roofing work into the mechanical project, but in the case where we ended up bidding both projects, the roofing as well as this, we did another alternate on this where we took all the roofing work out of this contract. So bid alternate number 3 on this contract is a reduction in price of $38,654, but that's contingent upon you approving the roofing project in the next action item. If you didn't approve the roofing project, then we would have to include that $38,000 worth of work because it's necessary to accomplish it. But we're saving that by executing the roofing project virtually between now and May. So that's where it is. So the recommendation that the basic contract is for a contract amount of $1,257,666. That includes $35,000 of owner allowances. So if we come across surprises that we need to spend some money on, we've got $35,000 in the contract to do so without raising the contract amount. If we're able to finish with funds left, that'll be reducing the contract amount by that amount. And that would include, the college would have to purchase the HVAC equipment in addition to that amount of $364,105. And we've gotten a detailed proposal from the suppliers to do that. That would be a cooperative purchase. I believe it's a TIPS contract, TIPS cooperative purchase. And the electrical equipment would be $22,075, and that would be a direct purchase with the supplier at Corpus Christi. So, never simple, but we think we've navigated a way to make this all happen and have the least amount of impact on your operation.
So I have a quick question, probably, I mean, it's related, but it's a futuristic question. So we ever decided to dig something up and put a new building over any of these pipes that are existing, do we have a map that shows all the pipes left in place? Because we didn't want to dig them up and remove them?
For the
And what it cost us then for the abatement of the asbestos for all those pipes left in place?
The majority of your piping that serves the mechanical systems is coming from your central plant. You've got two large chill water pipes, two large water pipes, supply and return. And you've also got some domestic hot water for, that's piped in there to serve the building. So you have also the water, heated water like you have in your house. It's also served, that's a different supply and return. And the majority of that we've tried to keep in the utility tunnel, which is, it's a 8-foot wide, 8 feet high tunnel.
Yeah.
That,
I've been in there. But my question is with that, most of the others that are left in place, it'll cost us then if we decide to do something else with it, right, to abate that?
Yeah, the majority of your the asbestos is insulation on piping within buildings or within your tunnels. And so you can abandon, like for instance, the piping that we're leaving in the soffit over there. We're gonna chop it off on each end, cap it, and leave it alone. We're not gonna go tearing out, 50.
Well, I know, that's why I'm asking, because it's just gonna stay there unless something
I don't
happens.
think, for the most part,
to rebuild
those
it or
buildings that were added to this campus after the main tunnel was built are not connected through the tunnel. In fact, most of them are not even on the central plant. The three buildings that were added to the central plant after the main campus was built, I guess maybe slightly more. The primary ones were the dorm, the library, and the sub. And we're taking all of those off the chiller because part of the problem is the distribution of water is, the length of your utility tunnel to this building is actually about the same length it is from this building all the way to the dormitory. And all that piping is buried underground and has become problematic. And we opted to build your chillers and boilers over there at the dormitory because we would have had to tear up streets and sidewalks and utilities and then put in new piping all the way over there. And it appeared to be a better engineering solution to just take those off the plant. The other side to it was there was marginal control because it was farthest away and the pumps and the delivery of how much, the hydrology of the water supply was not well designed. You still got 60s technology here. I mean, the truth is that I can only do so much to improve your air conditioning systems when you get chill water, you get hot water, that's fine. But to come in and really make a difference on controls, say in this building, I'd have to rip out all the ceilings and all the ductwork and put in variable volume systems and individual room controls and all that. And that's a big step. And so we're handling the major infrastructure part. In the future, and we made that decision back at the dormitory level. We're improving the supply of chill water, boiler water at the dorms, but we're not doing anything on the inside of those buildings to really get better control, other than be more reliable with what we're supplying to them. In the future, when you decide to say renovate your entire dormitories, we could really improve the air conditioning systems over there with individual room control and thermostat control, but it would require virtually a complete interior renovation of your dorms. So when you're ready to do that, then you could begin to make improvements on the quality of your air conditioning controls in those dorms. So those are sort of the threads you pull that make the sweater unravel when you're talking about renovations. But a lot of these buildings over here on the far side of campus have individual units. They've got chillers sitting outside there's a freestanding chiller outside in JC's office. There's a freestanding chiller outside the industrial trades building. There's rooftop units on some other buildings. So those buildings are not served off the central.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Okay, if not, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve agenda item number 9E. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next item, 9F, consideration and possible action to approve the award of an RFP for the Cloudy and Lashin Building re-roofing project. Tara?
Is we're gonna defer back to Bill again, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to bring this one to you because it came in significantly under what we had expected it to, and the roofing company has actually worked for me. The Tabor Roofing was one of 6 companies that bid the project. We knew they were going to be low because they called us up about a month and a half before it was put out to bid and said, we're desperate for work. We've got tons of people and we got to keep them busy. When's that project busy? And so we knew they were going to really get competitive on this, and they certainly were. Tabor did the re-roofing on your gymnasium a year or 2 back, a couple of years ago. Very good company, very solid. We've worked with them a number of times. You've got a price, including the recommended bid alternates, for $735,500. We had expected that the base bid they bid was $715,000. We had expected this building to come in, the re-roofing base bid to come in about $900,000, which is where about 2 or 3 of the bidders are. But this is a very, very competitive price. You've got a very good contractor, and we, without hesitation, recommend that you work with them. We're including bid alternates 3, 4, and 5. Essentially, that is, we're adding some access ladders, some high roofs. We're putting new, your exterior of these buildings have a white concrete beams exposed around the top. And so we're having them cut out all the sealant. It's dry and in places cracked, and access point for water to get into the cavity walls. We're having them install new sealant around the perimeter of those concrete beams. And we're gonna have them power wash the outside white concrete. In some places around the campus, you've cleaned them, they're nice and white. Other places, they're pretty dirty and kind of dark and gray. So we got an excellent price for them to power wash your parapet and concrete beams and get them white again. And we have no hesitation to make the recommendation for you to hire Tabor Roofing for a contract price of $735,500, and that includes $20,000 in owner contingency allowances that if we don't have the need to use it, will be credited back to the college against the price of the contract. This is actually, we've actually scheduled this in the bid documents so that they would begin work right after the holidays, after they get the paperwork and the materials ordered, and that they would be, the idea is that they would be complete by mid-May, and so that would coordinate with the HVAC project.
That would not interfere with classroom?
It'll have to be coordinated with your classroom operations. We certainly do not want them to be working on occupied spaces, but we believe that it can be coordinated. Once again, we actually had really good success. We're using the same roofing systems that we used on your gym, which was a lot lightweight concrete system. I think the gymnasium actually has significantly better performance on your air conditioning systems because the amount of insulation and the lightweight concrete system with the insulation embedded in it is such an efficient method of insulating rooms that it's really improved your ability to condition the gymnasium. I think you had much less control of your HVAC over there, and you're going to see some improvements in your efficiency in your building. But it will have to be closely coordinated with the occupancy of those buildings.
I will add that when we did the gymnasium, it didn't interfere very much at all. We just coordinated with athletics, set it up, had the schedule set with the contractor, and it was pretty smooth. And I will say athletics calls pretty often that it's very cold in the gym, so it has definitely improved insulation in that facility.
And when we were investigating this, when we were first called about it, back once upon a time when it rained, you could actually, on those covered walkways, you could actually get a standing wave going because there was so much water underneath the membrane of the roof. You could push your foot down and it would slosh. The membrane would sort of have a wave going underneath the thing coming back. So it's the only reason you didn't notice it that much was because the worst of the worst was in areas that were outside covered walkways. But it was really almost amusing to see how much water was trapped underneath that.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion to approve? Okay, so we move and seconded to approve. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
So commencements in May won't be that hot anymore.
As long as they keep the doors closed.
Actually, you're to be commended for authorizing a re-roofing project in the middle of a drought. That's usually just the opposite, because everybody waits till it rains and then everybody wants it all at the same time. Thank you very much. We will get to work.
Thank you.
We'll find out how good the roofing is when it rains. That's what's gonna happen.
And I do have video of what he's talking
What year
about.
will that be?
Yeah, 2030.
Item 9G, consideration and possible action to approve the award of an RFP for 2 CNC plasma cutting machines. Tara?
Yes. So we did go out for RFP for the CNC plasma tables, and we scored those EP Bladry was involved, and we appreciate everyone's involvement in helping us get these RFPs out. It was my first time having to do this, so it was a lot of work, but we did receive 3 bids on the CNC. Well, one of them, it was 2 vendors, one of them gave us 2 separate options, and we evaluated those. And we are requesting to award the bid to Shop Sabra. The total is being funded by the Perkins grant, and the total bid came in at $78,900.
Just out of curiosity, what was the difference in the 2 bids from the same resource, lab resources?
So Lab Resources gave us 2 separate prices. Jerry, you want to elaborate on how?
Yeah, what was the difference in the
The
price?
table sizes were different,
Oh,
and so they gave one at a smaller table and one at the table size that we requested in the bid.
okay.
Just in case we wanted a smaller one.
Yeah, okay,
Nice try,
yeah. So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve item 9G. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item, 9H, consideration and possible action to approve the award of an RFP for dental hygiene chairs. Tara?
Okay, so on this RFP, obviously we had received a donation that y'all approved for $809,000 from the foundation. And so, not our foundation, I can't remember if it's in the minute order, the foundation. Yes.
CA Johnson.
Yes, and so we're very thankful for them donating the funds. The bid was scored with Lynn Sutherland and JC and Millie and myself. And so the criteria were provided by Sarah Langlois at the attorney, our attorneys that works with Corey. And so she's been helping us with some of our procurement, and we would recommend offering the bid to Midwest Dental. The bid amount is $709,685.30.
And that's the lower of the two.
It came in significantly. It wasn't the lowest bid, we did have some bids that were varying, but some of the factors, the type of chairs that were offered and things weren't in line with like what we were looking for, and so, that's why we did the bid tabulation sheet, so we could score the vendors based on that. And so we can-
That is quite a generous donation.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that's not only for this item, also for the previous item.
Yes.
That we're not spending any money on this.
Yes,
That's
it's great.
potential $700,000.
Yes, and there are some funds remaining, and so, we'll have to look into what we can do with those. It's gonna be for the dental hygiene program, but there were some other tools and things related to the chairs that Lynn had mentioned, and so we're gonna look into that
And they looked at the dental hygiene, decide to help, or part of the.
yes, they do. So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve agenda item 9H. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item, 9I, consideration for approval of proposed policy updates to align with the TASB updates. Dr. Slice?
Yes, so I want to thank the administration and the team for working diligently through these policy updates. If approved by the trustees, would bring us up to date, actually up to the 50th numbered update, which was just released on December 13th. So as we work through this, in total, we have about 46 policies that we're bringing to the trustees. Some of the policy adoptions with respect to TASB obviously have not been updated. We went back to the dates, and I think we're maybe like 5 years behind approximately. So this will catch us up. We are in compliance, assuming that this gets approved by the board. I will share that most of the policies that were shared with the trustees, a lot of the changes are governed by legislation, so there really isn't a lot of option or leeway that we have in the policy documents. But there is some that I wanted to just hyper-focus on for the trustees that I think everyone should be aware of. CRB Local is the new artificial intelligence policy provided by TASB as part of the 50th numbered update. I particularly really like this policy because it outlines the expectations for both faculty, staff, and students as it relates to artificial intelligence. I know there is an internal committee that Michael is leading that's going to outline the procedures behind that policy. But I think TASB did a really good job with this specific policy as it relates to artificial intelligence. DJ Local, we made some modifications with respect to the workload of exempt employees. One of the things that, as we met with Cabinet, as far as the expectations on the allowability of exempt employees to teach courses at the college, we really hadn't defined that. The major change that we're making as part of this recommendation to the trustees is that exempt employees would only be allowed to teach one credit-bearing course per semester, just to, once again, keep the standard of the course at the level that it needs to be, and that our administrators that are exempt are facilitating their primary assignment at the college, as opposed to focusing more on the teaching component for CBC. So the next one is DLC Local. It speaks on promotion, demotion, and transfer. Once again, from a human resources perspective, we did have procedures in place, but we thought it would be important for us to bring a policy that was approved and adopted by the board that outlines how the administration facilitates promotion, demotion, and transfer of positions at the college. So we've outlined, our cabinet team has met, and we have some very objective procedures in place that we'll begin using moving forward, and our administrators can use in their respective recommendations to the cabinet or to myself in these types of transitions and work assignments. The last one is a DJA Local, and once again, I think TASB did a really good job on outlining how we govern the telework at Coastal Bend College. This is something that a lot of institutions were still struggling with to determine what's allowed and what's not allowed. Really, the new TASB guidance outlines that the college president outlines the procedures and policy with respect to telework at the institution. So that is going to be one of the primary or major changes that are coming about through policy as part of the 50th numbered update. But just to highlight, if approved by the trustees, this would effectively catch us up on how behind we are on our policy adoption and integration at the college. So
Thank you for doing that, for getting us up to par. We've been asking for this for some time. And some of these actually are pretty simple because they're TASB updates, they're mandated. All you have to do is present them. There's nothing we can do about them, so not keeping up with them really was sheer negligence.
So I saw this, it's highlighted in red, those are additions and changes.
that is correct. And those would be additions and changes. As I mentioned, primarily most of the additions and changes are being recommended by TASB through changes in legislation, either recently or as we progress through the numbered updates over the previous years.
Is there any further discussion?
I just have a quick question, back to the AI situation. How's the faculty gonna use, or monitor the use of AI for their coursework to make sure they're not claiming it as
So,
do we have a program in place for that?
Michael, if you want to touch base on
So we, in coordination with the instructional department, and we have a team of both faculty and staff members who have been working on identifying what the rules are and presenting that to the students, and then it's gonna be handled as a disciplinary type situation if they've got, if they're using it where they're not supposed to. As far as like detecting AI, we're working with the faculty right now to determine which tools are the best ones at identifying inappropriate AI use. And then when we have those recommendations, we're gonna go out and we're gonna purchase software for the whole college to use and make sure that it is kept up to date. We're gonna treat it just like we do any of our other cybersecurity type issues, where we wanna make sure we're always getting the best we can. So we'll probably stick with the short term and then renew, but it'll end up in my budget coming this year, most likely, for us to have that kind of software. But at the moment, we don't have one that is currently full campus. We were waiting partly for this policy update and then for the results of the AI policy, AI procedure task force that we were working on to be completed. So we should be able to have a specific set of tools, most likely within the next couple of months.
And then I'm sure you'll have some guidelines to make sure that it's
Right.
produced, manufactured, and
Right, I think
be careful with that, because you also don't wanna go to the extreme and say, no, your information was gathered from AI, and just dismiss it either. I think that'd be that fine
Absolutely.
line.
allowing that flexibility for the faculty member to, there are some faculty members who are using AIs to say, hey, well, this may benefit you, or we will show you how to use AI correctly. So, you know, allowing that flexibility is something that we want our faculty who support AI to continue to do.
Okay.
But then there will be others who would simply say, well, no
Yeah,
AI.
that's what I'm afraid of, is we're gonna go from one extreme to the other.
Right.
We've gotta maintain that balance.
Right, absolutely.
Creativity and solution stuff. Okay, thank you, sorry.
And I think that's a great point, and it's also, you know, the accountability applies to also faculty and staff, not just necessarily the students, on what can be placed into AI, what cannot. So there's gonna be some very rigid guidelines on training before we even give formal access as an institution, specifically for faculty and staff on using that type of platform, because there's a lot of risks. You begin, you know, obviously we can't be assessing grades and things like that in this type of system because it's not meant for that. So we're looking at all of those components and outlining those procedures for everyone that's gonna be using it. So.
Additionally, we're making sure that our student data is properly protected. And one of the reasons why the training is gonna be given to faculty, staff, and students is we wanna make sure that nobody is, without knowledge, accidentally exposing our students to any kind of risk. So all of the data sets that are gonna be used are gonna live in-house behind firewalls and not be something that we share out to outside institutions at all.
Sweet. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Do you see anything innovative with faculty using AI productively to be able to get students to actually use it and learn more from it?
Absolutely.
Not just, you know.
You know, in conversations with, when we were at Saks, I've had several conversations with a couple of faculty members who are using AI more specifically in the discipline of English. And, you know,
Yes.
that's almost unheard of, you know, and even say, well, wait, where's Taylor? Where's Taylor? Is Taylor here?
He just took
Oh,
his
okay,
phone
so,
and
so
yeah.
Taylor's a historian, and that's my discipline as well, and
Mhm.
that's one thing that, you know, is almost unheard of as well. So, you know, using AI in history is something that, you know, was once forbidden, but now, I mean, we just simply have to learn how to use the tool.
When I went to some of the training, part of it was that they allowed them to use it, but they had to defend it.
Right.
And so they're learning more because they can't just present it in paper, they have to explain
Mhm.
how they got to this and what they know and the behind the scenes, not just the whatever. And they thought it was actually a better, more effective tool
Right.
than just presenting a paper that they wrote
Right, teaches language,
Uh-huh.
teaches sentence structure, various other things.
and you know, corporations are not gonna hide away from using AI. You can see that now, Amazon is already laying off people to use, but, so we have to make sure that we have people trained to be able to use it, manipulate it, to be able to be successful in whatever field they're in. And our staff to be able to use it so that they're saving time.
Mhm.
You know, it's part of the process.
I agree. I think one point to mention, even our accrediting body, SACS, very openly said we will begin using AI to review the compliance reports that institutions are submitting. So
Yeah.
it's a resource in its own.
Right.
They're gonna use it to grade us.
Yeah.
So.
So we just looked at it, why wouldn't you take advantage of it, right?
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded twice.
Sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is item 10A, consideration and possible action to approve the monthly financial reports for November 2025. Dr. Suarez Rutera.
Yes. So, I know this is gonna be hard to follow up those audited financials, but, so this is, as of November 30th, 2025. I'm gonna first look at the budget to actual. This is our income statement. So we have month-to-date actuals, year-to-date actuals, and then our original adopted budget. So as we're looking at this, we're about a quarter of the way through the fiscal year, and so you're gonna see in those first two revenue items, the state appropriation based tier and performance tier. As I mentioned, last month, we've already received a 50% payment. We'll be receiving a 25% payment in February, on February 15th. And so we won't see these numbers change until then. And so our net balance is 7.1 million, but that's really skewed because we have a lot of revenue and not so many expenses. Currently, we're at 23% of our expenditure budget. You know, things were kind of slow moving at first as I was getting used to the new role and things like that. And so we expect, you know, December to end kind of with nothing because we're gonna be gone, but picking up in January, there's a lot of initiatives and things that we've talked about funding, and so, so we'll see this pick up in the next part of the year. And as far as other revenues, they're kind of, we're already seeing some spring tuition coming in, and so revenues are already at over half of the budget, we're seeing them there. As they mentioned during the audit presentation, scholarship expense was up a lot, and that was because of some exemptions and waivers that weren't being run through the system. We were kind of just, specifically dual credit, last year we had over 2.5 million in waivers that were related to that we included in that scholarship expense amount, so that's why you saw a big jump. And then how those waivers were applied to tuition and fees versus auxiliary. There were some things that we had to do manually in our office, and so you're gonna see those changes in this report, but right now exemptions and waivers are still not including some of that information, and so we're working to update those numbers. Ad valorem is on track where it should be. Obviously, November was a big month for us, and we expect December to be the same. And then everything else is in line with our expectations. And then the next page is the the budget to actual for restricted. These are really just grants and our state benefit appropriations and financial aid. And so we do have some interest income for these items. We have not made any debt service payments in this fiscal year. Our total debt service payments are gonna be $855,000. But a lot of the things are gonna zero out on this at year end. Grants should zero out, but at the time that the financial statements are made, because it's so early in the month, we haven't completed those grant reconciliations, and so sometimes that won't be reflected on here. The next item is the statement of net position. And so, as I mentioned last month, these were not updated with fiscal year 2025 audit entries. We didn't have all of those at the time. And so this is a true statement as of November 30th with those updates. We have a really strong cash position, 15.5 million in cash and cash equivalents. Our receivables are down pretty low right now. We're at almost 2.8 million, and then our restricted cash is 4.5 million, and our long-term investments are 7.5 million. And so, obviously, we're putting a lot of the tax note dollars into infrastructure and capital purchases, and so we won't see those reflected in this statement until the next audit cycle completes. But overall, we have a net position of 17.4 million at November 30th, 2025.
When does the next audit cycle start?
Well, it'll be August 31st, 2026 will be.
When's it gonna be done?
Just for-
We're shooting for
Actually,
November
we're
next year.
shooting for November next year.
Wow.
Because it's really stressful to go on Thanksgiving break and know the
Uh-huh,
auditors
that
need
you've got all
stuff, and
that
so we
thing.
just kind of wanna like
Yeah.
push it forward, that's our goal,
I
so.
know I'm not showing a lot, but I'm pretty tickled.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. We're happy to get this and not get
Yes.
months.
I was really
previous, you
excited,
know.
my team was, whenever I told them we have no financial statement findings, they were very excited, and we could just be
Major
like,
kudos to
you
you.
know, they were,
Good to go.
yeah,
Jim's known me for years, he's
He's
looking at me
Why
like-
can buy him a pizza party?
they- No, Michael said he was going
Ice cream.
to.
Honestly, I will
That's all
do
it's in.
that, seriously.
The business office doesn't have money in their budget to fund employee lunches, so feel free to.
Well, we have real strict internal controls, so it's
To add
part of it,
that.
so.
That was the most professional way to say we accept tips.
Listen, Jared's got a credit card, I know he does, just put it on his, he's fine.
How many employees do you have? In the business office, we have, oh gosh.
Six.
No, seven, but we're hiring two, so.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion to approve the November 2025 monthly financial statements? Moved
Second.
and seconded, or third? All those in favor say aye. All opposed, motion passes. The next agenda item is 11A, which I believe will be moved to later in the meeting.
Yes, I'd like to discuss 11A in executive session, trustees.
Okay, that leaves 11B, board committee reports. I don't know that there are any, but
No reports.
no reports either. Okay. All right, then we move to item 12, executive session. It is now 7:27 p.m. and the board will now convene in a closed meeting to discuss agenda items 12A through E, including under section Texas Government Code 551.076, security devices or security audits, Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Texas Government Code section 551.07 for personnel. All right, we'll convene now in executive session. That's fine. Okay, it is 9:38 p.m. and the board is back in open session. There are two items that require action from the board. The first one relates to, it's agenda item 11A, contracts for employment and resignations as recommended by the college president. Is there a motion?
I so moved to, approve.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there, to approve, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Second item requiring action from the board, it's item 13A, consideration and possible action to appoint a qualified candidate to the Coastal Bend College Board of Trustees, place 7. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Ana Marie Silvas to fill the current vacancy on the trustee board.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. There are no further action items. Dr. Suarez, any announcements?
Yes, just some quick announcements. So just as a quick reminder, the CDC Fall Commencement Ceremony will be held on Friday, December 19th, starting at 10 a.m. in the Peter S. Marasek Physical Fitness Center or gym. Board members are invited to arrive at the President's office at 9:30 a.m. to get ready, etc. CDC will be closed for the winter break starting December 20th through January 4th. And just as an update, there will be some water testing that will be conducted here on the Bevo campus beginning Saturday, December 20th through Tuesday, December 23rd. We've already spoken to the units on campus so that they're aware of that and it won't impact our operations. And so just wanted to make the board aware of that testing taking place with respect to our water emergency continuity planning. So, and lastly, the January regular board meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 20th at 5:30 p.m. here in the Sandy Dirks boardroom.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Anyone?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.